Hear me well? Let me take a look at the chat here. Hi from Salvador. Hi from Minas Gerais. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Jhony Balisa, and I'm speaking from São Paulo. Can you type in the chat where you're speaking from? From Minas, Salvador, Liliana and Juliana. Lots of people from São Paulo. Itaparica, Bahia, beautiful place. Hope to go there someday. Brasília, have a couple of friends in Brasília. Mato Grosso, Belém, Recife, Porto Velho. Oh my God, all over Brazil. Silvia from Salvador. Hi, Silvia. Hi, Renata. Porto Alegre. That's really nice. Hi from Italy. Outside Brazil as well, international. Hello, teacher Chris. From Arujá. Not Guarujá. Arujá is near Guarulhos, right? Hi from Bragança Paulista. Fortaleza. Is it hot there? Here in São Paulo, it's kind of cold in the morning, but then during the day, the weather is a bit better. Rio Grande do Norte. From Peru. That's nice. So it's very nice to meet you all. I guess I can start the conference already. My session. My name is Jhony Balisa, and I know what you're thinking about my last name. And today I'm here to talk about effective communication, the barriers and strategies when trying to establish an effective communication with schools, teachers, and students, and also parents. My objective today is that you leave this session with a couple of strategies to establish an effective communication with your teachers, if you are in a coordination position, with your students, and with their parents. Also, one of my objectives is to share some of my experiences, the experiences that I have been through, both as a teacher, as a coordinator, as an academic consultant, especially during these 2 years. And I believe they are pretty valid because as we are living, not only my experiences, but also yours, I believe they are pretty valid because as we have been living unprecedented times, the experiences that we are having now, the experiences, the challenges, and all the barriers that we have been overcoming throughout these 2 years, they will help us, and they have been helping us find effective solutions and alternatives and more strategies to deal with the problems and issues that we face every day. So a lot of my opinions and thoughts today, they come from my experience. And I also would like to encourage you to share your experiences, the experiences that you have been through, the strategies that you have adopted, that your school has adopted, that overcame and have been overcoming the barriers that you have in your daily life. Okay, so I also have access to the chat, so I'm going to see and comment on your sharing as well. I hope we can have a very good session. And by the end of it, you'll have my contact and my references as well. We all know that we have. I believe that we have lived the worst part of the pandemic already, and we have overcome a lot of problems already. And I believe it was through collaboration and through sharing that we could get through this situation successfully. So I believe that if we are living unprecedented times, and we are thinking about solutions, and we have been discovering new solutions for the problems we have, it's only through collaboration and through sharing that we can get even more solutions for the future and get more prepared to deliver and to have the best kind of education possible for our students, really. There's a piece of article in the CAF, which is a development bank in Latin America, and they say that the region, Latin America, had not integrated digital tools into day-to-day life, nor did it have teachers trained to integrate online platforms into teaching processes. In many cases, families did not have the necessary devices to ensure teaching continuity for their children. And when I read this piece, and thinking about the challenges that the pandemic brought to our lives and to our routines, three pillars caught my attention. Three parts of this part of the text caught my attention. The region, which to me refers to the schools in Brazil and in Latin America, together with the teachers, and families that represent both students and their parents. And that's why I have decided to divide my presentation today into three parts: effective strategies and barriers in communications with schools, within the school, when talking to students, and also when talking to parents. And this last one has been a huge topic, especially during the pandemic, right? And I believe that if these three pillars, if these three components are aligned and walking together towards the same goal, students are more likely to benefit from the process. Because after all, students should be the center of our decisions, right? All the decisions that we make, we make them and we think about solutions so that students benefit from it at the front line. So there's a very good saying, a very good quote from an ELT professional. He's Brazilian. He's called Luiz Otávio de Barros. And in one of the breast TESOL conferences here in Brazil, he said something that I carry with me till this day. It was in 2018 or 17, I think. I don't remember his exact words, but he said something along these lines. Regardless of our position, students are and should be the be-all and end-all of our profession. I understand as it doesn't matter if you're a teacher, it doesn't matter if you are a coordinator, it doesn't matter if you're a principal. All the decisions that we make, everything that we do, should have students as the central part of it. They are, after all, our ultimate goal in education. So I'd like us to carry and to have this main idea in mind throughout the whole session. All the suggestions that I'm going to pose and all the barriers and strategies that I'll pose to you, they are somehow gravitating around this main idea. Couldn't agree more, exactly. Yes, and it's I'm seeing that you have been already reacting to the quote, and it's very easy to see decisions being made without having the student in mind, and everything we do gravitates towards having a better education for them, so that they can benefit from it. So the very first topic is schools. And I know that many schools, there are many schools, and here in Brazil, there are many schools in Latin America, and they all have different contexts. So it's very hard for me, or for any person alone, to list all the barriers and all the challenges and all the difficulties that they have faced throughout such adverse times during the pandemic. But according to some research and some studies, and according to my experiences, I listed a couple of barriers here that I believe that they can relate to many contexts, but definitely not to all of them. So in the beginning of the pandemic, when we started with teaching remotely, it was very difficult for many schools, regular schools, language institutes, any educational institution, to reestablish procedures, right? When the pandemic came along, many schools found themselves into a position of having to create new procedures, administrative procedures, class procedures, everything was new. So in aligning it across the teaching staff was definitely a challenge. Also, I think one of the biggest challenges really, providing the teaching staff with resources for online classes. And not only that, choosing the right resources according to your teaching staff. We know that some of the teachers hadn't had any experience at all regarding teaching online, and it was very difficult for them. And apart from choosing the resources, the schools had to make sure the teachers were comfortable using the resources that they had chosen. And it's with teachers that were more experienced, that was the process was smoother, let's say. But with teachers that hadn't had any experience at all, it was definitely a huge challenge. And apart from that, as we know, any adaptation causes a lot of discomfort. The schools had to ensure that teachers were psychologically healthy during such adverse times. And not only, we are not only talking about supporting teachers technically, on how to use the platforms. It's also about helping teachers stay mentally healthy so that they can use the platforms more effectively. And it's very important to think about supporting teachers, both technically and psychologically, so that the work cycle can be complete. A poll, a survey in the United States, a survey was carried out with some teachers in the United States in 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic, and they asked teachers what they were feeling during such adverse times and teaching remotely, a totally new context for them. And can you guess in the chat what the most 5 mentioned feelings were? I'm looking at the chat here. So Jamili said that teachers were uncomfortable, and they are still uncomfortable nowadays. Yes, definitely. Probably uncomfortable. Anxiety, anxious, probably. The 5 most mentioned feelings. Stressful, maybe. Misprepared or not prepared, right? It was hard work. So as it was hard work, probably overworked, right? Fear. And as we are talking about the pandemic, right? Fear is definitely one of the emotions that they feel. Claudia said frustrated. Okay, good point, Claudia. So the very first one that they mentioned, the top one, is anxious. In the beginning of the pandemic, most teachers were feeling anxious, according to the survey. The second one was fearful. And it has a lot to do with the fact that they were living, and we all were living and still are, pandemic times. Third one was worried. The fourth one was overwhelmed. And the fifth one, sad. It's kind of depressing to look at these 5 negative feelings and think that when someone asked the teacher how they were feeling doing their job, it's depressing to imagine that the first word that came to mind was a negative feeling. Because it's something that they do every day for at least 8 hours, at least here in Brazil, for 8 hours. And the first feeling that came to mind was a negative feeling. It's kind of depressing to see this scenario, right? But I would like to pose another question to you. If we take a look at this scenario, would you infer that in the years prior to the pandemic, before the pandemic, teachers were feeling differently? Would you say teachers were feeling differently before the pandemic, in the years prior to 2020? Let me know in the chat. Working hard, upset, yes, frustrated. So some people think that they were feeling the same way, right? Not always. Maybe not. You think the scenario was a bit different? Not really. Liliana is thinking about it. Not always. Okay. Gabriela, not really. We have always been overwhelmed. Good one. Overwhelmed, secure. And interestingly enough, they had carried out a similar survey in 2017. And I'll show you what the top 5 most mentioned feelings were. The first one, frustrated. Second one, overwhelmed. Again, overwhelmed. Third one, stressed. Fourth one, tired. And the fifth one, happy. This time we have at least one to save the day, right? But if we have a general analysis of the other 4, teachers have been feeling, they have been experiencing negative emotions and negative experiences in their work. And the pandemic came along and made them extremely worse. We cannot deny that. But teachers have always been, according to the survey, many teachers have been feeling overwhelmed, experiencing negative emotions, not happy at work, feeling frustrated. And we should look at this and try to turn the tables in our favor. We should try to do something. And this very same company carried out a third survey with teachers in the United States, now to see what kind of emotions they wanted to feel. Now that they are feeling frustrated, anxious, worried, overwhelmed, how they wanted to feel, what feelings they wanted to have. And they asked them this question. And I'll ask you again, can you guess what the top 5 most hoped for feelings were? They want to feel relaxed. Okay. So relaxed, successful, motivated, respected, proud, successful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have successful twice. Okay. Accomplishment, motivated, engaged, happy. Okay, so I'll show you. The top 5 most hoped for feelings were inspired, the first one. Second one, valued. The third one, supported. Fourth one, effective. Fifth one, happy. Impressive, right? I believe that when we look at this, we at least now, or people in decision-making positions can look at this and say, okay, now what can I do in terms of communication to help my teachers feel inspired, valued, supported, effective, confident, motivated, understood. Gabriela Vargas, that's now, yes, this last survey was carried out in 2020. So now what can I do to help my teachers feel this way? And here I have a couple of suggestions, and I encourage you to share in the chat strategies that your school and you have adopted so that you feel more inspired, valued, confident, initiatives that your school had that impacted you positively. Can you please share this in the chat while I share mine here? So the first one is, what are the strategies that we can have here, right? So getting teachers to feel more inspired and valued, to me, they go way beyond just paying good salaries. If we ask teachers why they chose this profession in the first place, their answer is probably not going to be related to high salaries, because we know high salaries are the exception in our profession, unfortunately. And mind you, I'm not saying that good salaries are not important, because they are very important. And we all know that. But getting your teachers to feel inspired and valued go way beyond that. Teachers might get a very good salary and still feel not inspired and not valued. Right? This is possible. To me, it has more to do with the fact that we should remind them of their purpose constantly. Remind them of how noble their work is. Remind them of how much they can do in the lives of students, how much they can promote change in a person's routine, in a person's future, and remind that every single day. In the same way that we evidence learning to our students, the same way that it's important to evidence students' learning, it's equally important to remind teachers of their successes, of their role, of how noble their profession is. And not do this just on Teachers' Day. Do that every single day, because we know how difficult it can be, especially now during pandemic times that everything is upside down. Teachers want to feel supported, right? Not only technically supported, it's really being there for them. When parents go crazy, be there for them. When students go crazy, be there for them. Show them that you trust them, that they are part of the team, and the team is united, is only one. And that they are in the team because you trust them. Of course, investigate the situations, all the cases, but be there for them. Support your teachers, both emotionally and also technically. The fact that we have to try to promote professional development is crucial in trying to get the teachers to feel effective. I have never met, and I believe you haven't, I have never met a teacher who were proud to deliver ineffective lessons. All the teachers that I know, they want to give their best. They want to deliver the best class every day. We know it's not possible, but they want to. They are striving for that. They are trying to do that. And encouraging teachers to keep developing professionally is crucial. And helping them develop professionally is also crucial. There are many ways through which you can promote professional development. Encouraging teachers to participate in events like this is one option. Encouraging teachers to take courses is a second option. But also the small moments that you have in the staff room, professional development can help there too, can happen there too. Encourage teachers to talk and share good practices amongst each other, amongst one another, is very important. And professional development can happen in these conversations too. Encouraging teachers to observe lessons inside the school is also a very good practice, and professional development is happening there too. Encouraging teachers to do better is also a way of professional development. But also, it's not only about doing better all the time, or it's not only about having to do better all the time. It's also about celebrating all the better that you have done already. It's also about celebrating all the victories, all the successes, and all the achievements that you have had along the journey. They too help us keep moving forward. They too motivate us to keep moving forward. And happiness in this scenario would be a consequence. We know that a person cannot live happily all the time, right? A person cannot be happy 100% every day. But if schools manage to promote this kind of initiatives that focus on trying to get teachers to feel more valued, the positive feelings would mask, or at least be in evidence in comparison with the negative ones. And when they are asked, how do you feel teaching? They are going to say, I feel effective, I feel supported, I feel happy, why not? Right? I feel valued, I feel inspired. So with those initiatives, we can promote happiness more often than negative feelings. So far, are we on the same page? Let me check the chat. Recognize their effort and positive results. Definitely, Marcela. It's not only about having to do better all the time. It's also about celebrating all the better that you have done already, right? Don't leave all the problems for the teacher to solve. Yes, definitely. Good. Okay. The second one is students. And this time, I watched a video on YouTube. It's a very nice video of college students in Canada. They were from different courses, and they were from different years as well. So there was a person who was in the first year, a girl who was in the first year, a boy who was in the third year, and they all studied different courses. And they got together to share how the pandemic had impacted their routine, and how the pandemic had impacted and changed especially their study routine. And during the conversation, I took some notes. I can share the video with you later on. During the video, I took some notes, and I listed them here. So the first one is, spending long hours in a room can be very suffocating. And I totally agree with this statement. Be it studying, be it working, if you are locked in a room for a long period of time, this is likely to be unhealthy to you. Suffocating is a very good word, unhealthy too, in this scenario. Number two, having no separation whatsoever from classroom to home. And this is especially true when we talk about young learners. I once talked to a specialist in young learners, Crisperoni. And she said something that in the beginning of the pandemic that I noticed later on when I talked to parents. Younger learners, they tend to associate a set of rules to a physical space, to the physical space they are in. So when they went to school, they would have a set of rules and they would follow them because they were in that physical space. When they got home, they had a different set of rules and they followed them because they associated those rules with the physical space. When the pandemic came along, they started studying from home, and home became the school somehow. They were waking up at different times. They were having breakfast at different times. They were preparing for the classes differently. Their parents were around. The class was happening through a screen. The class itself was different. The procedures were different. The rules were different. And it's only natural that they got lost, or at least that took them some time to adapt into this new reality. So this fact that there's no separation between classroom and home is very, very true. Having the feeling that there's something due every day. And this is also related to the school's organization, the schools and teachers organization. If the school is not organized, if the teacher is not organized in terms of course material and coursework, and we cannot blame them because they had to adapt the whole course and the whole classes overnight. But this also cascaded down into students' calendar, into students' organization. And they ended up having tight schedules, tight deadlines, complex assignments, and they had this natural feeling of thinking that there's something due every day, that they have to hand in something every day. Fourth one, having limited direct interaction with classmates. Yes, a very good comment here. Each year it gets harder to manage the nerves. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Catchery, I think it's catchery. Number 4 is, in the past, if they had a comment to make, if they had a question, they would just turn to their classmate and comment. They would just wait until the lesson was over to approach the teacher and ask questions, or even in the middle of the class. Now it's different. They don't have this direct interaction anymore. And the only natural result would be to feel alone and unsupported. So how can we, having these in mind, how can we try to help students organize themselves better, and at the same time feel that there's a course going on, that they can count on the teachers, that they can count on the students, that they can count on the staff of the school staff. I once again encourage you to share in the chat some of the strategies that you have adopted, or that your school has adopted, to have this more transparent and more effective communication with students. The first one, I think, is to establish routines and stick to them as much as possible. We know that routines, children especially, they can benefit a lot from routines. But during pandemic times, I guess everyone can benefit from a well-established routine. First, because it helps them organize themselves better, so they know what they have to do and don't have this feeling that there's something due every day. Second, that this can promote sense of achievement and a sense that the students are in control of the situation. If they are studying in a language school, this is even more difficult, because they have to juggle the assignments and homework from the regular school and the language institute. So it's even more difficult. They have even more things to do. So if we have a well-established routine with reasonable deadlines, students can organize themselves better and have this sense of achievement because they can do everything. They can cope with everything. And when they cannot, when students cannot organize themselves, when they need help, lend an ear. Be there for them. In the same way that the school should be there for the teacher should be there for the student. You see how everything's linked. If the school is not there for the teacher, how can the teacher be there for the student? It's all a cycle that should work and should be aligned so that the student benefit from the process. So whenever students need help with organization or help with the content or really a piece of advice, we teachers, we tend to notice that. And why not lend an ear? Schedule a short meeting, a short call, a short video call with the student. This might be extremely beneficial for them. And this, to me, is the cherry on top of this cake. I once visited a school. It was last year, and they had created online waiting rooms. They were trying to replicate, trying to emulate that situation, those group conversations that students have, that students used to have, right, before the class started, in the school corridors and the school patio. And they decided to create this online waiting room to get students together to share ideas, to have conversations, informal conversations, to laugh. Students didn't have to speak English. Some of them spoke English, some spoke Portuguese, but the idea was to create a space for them to socialize. And I actually joined one of the rooms. It was last year. And there were about 15 students from different classes. The age gap wasn't huge. They were more or less the same age. And students were laughing. Students were sharing their personal information, what they had done on the weekend, what they planned to do during the holiday. It was amazing. It was a very informal conversation. The teacher, the organizer of the room, didn't have to do anything, didn't have to prepare anything for the online room. And students were just there socializing as if they were in the school. And I was just amazed for like 15 minutes watching them talk. And it truly felt like those group conversations before the class started. So maybe, I don't know if you have this idea, if you already have this initiative in your school, but maybe you could try. It takes 15 minutes. You just open a room. You don't have to prepare anything. The first weeks, students will probably resent sharing personal information, but after they get the hang of it, it's done. Even for the little ones, yes. Cozy environment, definitely. Nice. The fourth one, since we are providing them with group work and these interactions in group before the class, why not favor it during the class as well? Students like, many students, right? There are some students who don't like group work very much. But students tend to be more engaged if the lesson is more dynamic. And if you can vary the patterns of interaction during the class, favoring not only individual work, but also group work, activities in trio, activities in pairs, the students might actually be more engaged in the lesson. And also, during these activities in the class, you can try to put their interest and favor their interests and preferences in the activities that you planned. So instead of doing exercise 2, why not working with a video on fashion, a simple activity? We can always simplify the task. The task. Because I know that this particular group of students in my group will enjoy having a conversation about fashion, or having a simple exercise about fashion. And this can go beyond the classroom. This can go in homework assignments, for example. Instead of asking students to finish the exercises that they started in class, why not working with a piece of text that about football, let's say, because you know that your students, some of your students will enjoy talking about football. It's not only about getting students engaged in the class, it's also trying to promote engagement between the student and the language. One of the most effective strategies, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, is to try to promote an engagement with the language, so that the students can keep in contact with authentic language outside the class. And we can start to introduce these topics, their likes and dislikes, bit by bit in our classes, during the class, and especially during the homework, right? Let me see if you shared. It's a pity that private schools have such grammar-focused material, and we do not have time to have fun teaching or learning. We know it's difficult, this relationship with materials, right? But if you have the chance to talk to the coordinator, if you have the chance to talk to the ones responsible for the course, tell them, I want to customize my lessons a bit. Is it possible? Instead of doing exercise 2, I'll try to do an exercise taking their preferences into account. Because talking to parents about this can be a challenge as well, but if you justify it well, that you are taking your students' interest into account, this way language will be way more relevant, right? My students feel engaged when I put songs during classes. Many students are into songs, right? If you bring their favorite artist and have a listening class or a pronunciation class using a song that they like, students are likely to be super engaged during the class. These small twists, you don't have to plan the whole lesson around your students' preferences. But if you make a small adjustment, a small twist, be it in the first practice, in the second practice, your lead-in question, your warm-up, closure, a small twist makes all the difference. You'll see your students' eyes pop like, really? Are you talking about my favorite artist? Or are you talking about my favorite movie? Are you talking about fashion? Small twists can make all the difference. We created a playlist on Spotify. That's really nice, Marcela. Congrats. That's really nice. And my third topic is parents. And parents have become a huge topic during the pandemic, right? They have been super involved in their kids' education, and they have been present in teachers' lives, not only the teachers, but also coordinators and the whole school procedures, right? Because now they are seeing closely what's happening in class. And some parents have been very vocal about it, and some parents have been participating more. And I believe that's a very positive thing. Research says that promoting parental engagement programs may increase school and parent communication to support children's overall learning environment. Studies have shown that providing parents with their children's academic process and performance can lead parents to update their biased beliefs. This part is, I think, my favorite, because parents tend to have very deep-rooted educational beliefs, and most of them is not, they don't have a teaching background, and they have very deep-rooted beliefs about teaching. They reallocate resources, improve student behavior, and raise academic performance. Remember what I said in the beginning, to have that idea in mind, that all the decisions that we make, they should gravitate around students benefiting from the process. Parental engagement, a transparent communication with parents, actually raises their academic performance, according to this research. I can share my resources, my references with you after the session. So, again, I have listed here a couple of barriers that parents have faced during the pandemic. Again, we know the list is way longer, but I have tried to summarize it in a way that is more directed at education and also more related to the school context. But we know the list is way longer, right? So the first one, ensuring their kids are attending classes and also paying attention to the classes. They are not distracted. We know how the internet can invite students to do different things apart from attending the class, right? They had to ensure that students were doing and handing in their assignments. And also they were responsible for keeping track of their kids' learning. And this is where students are exposed to that. It has happened to me. It happened to me in the past, and I've seen it happen 100 times. Students, when parents ask students to translate a movie or to translate a song that it's on the radio, and we know how frustrating that can be. But we know that the parent is not doing that because they want to frustrate the kid. They just want to assess. I call it parental assessment. They just want to see if the students are learning, and they don't know how to do that. So the first thing that they see that involves English, they ask the kid to translate. They think that a good communicator is a good translator as well, right? And we know how frustrating these practices can be, but they don't come from a bad place. They don't come from bad intentions. They just want to help and to be proud of their kids. And apart from that, they have to ensure that kids are mentally and physically healthy to attend classes. And to me, this is a big topic. Parents is a big topic because apart from helping kids achieving better results, they are part of the process. They are there with the kids when you're not. They are there helping the kids do the homework. They are there seeing what's happening during pandemic times, right? They are there seeing what's happening in class. So why not taking them into account in the process as well? It's not only trying to put out the fires that when they come to school complaining. Of course, trying to have strategies to cope with these barriers. They also aim at reducing the number of complaints that parents make at schools. But it's not only about that, right? It's also about the students. And I've listed here a couple of strategies that I have seen work. And a third time, I also encourage you to share some of the strategies that you have adopted to have a more effective communication with parents. So the very first one is having an open communication channel with them. This can be as easy as a WhatsApp group. And this can change according to the resources and according to the procedures that your school follows. But it's important that this communication channel exists and that it's open, so that the school and parents can communicate easily, right? And apart from these channels, alignment meetings are also very important. Video meetings, live meetings, live conversations with them. Whenever you have to talk about more important procedures, whenever you have to talk about how to follow up on their kids' learning, how the semester has been, how the bimester has been, how the month has been, the frequency in which these meetings are going to happen can be according to your context, but it's important that they happen. This, to me, is the second cherry on this cake. Now, using a parent lesson plan. The idea here is not to overwhelm teachers with one more thing to do. And this can work beautifully with young learners and teenagers. I've seen it work, and teachers didn't feel overwhelmed. Parents reduced the number of complaints that they made. But again, it's just my experience. If you have a different idea, please share in the chat with us. The idea is to have a simple and straightforward lesson plan divided into 3 parts. So the first part is the materials that that class requires. The second part, how the lesson is going to happen, what's going to be done in very simple terms. And here the school can even have like some chunks of language ready for the teacher to use in Portuguese, so the teacher can just fill in the gaps and complete the sentences using the chunks. And it's very simple. So the lesson starts like this. After we are going to do this, then we're going to sing this song and finish with this activity. And that's it. And finally, the third part is an action plan, explaining what the homework is, and also, the most important part, how the parent can follow up on the child's, on that content, on that class. So let's say that during the class, you sang with your kids, or with your kids, the crocodile song. And then you put there, listen to the crocodile song, and then you put the link with your child and dance it. And then the parent will look at this part and, okay, I don't have to ask my kid to translate a movie anymore. I don't have to ask my kid to translate a song that it's on the radio. I will follow what the teacher is saying. This way we are guiding the parent in the process as well. We are having what I like to call a teacher attitude towards the problem, towards the issue. We are not confronting back their complaints. Because just confronting parents isn't going to take us anywhere. So why not having a teacher attitude and a teacher look to parents as well, and acknowledge the fact that they too need our help, right? So I believe this parent lesson plan can help a lot in this relationship, in this transparent relationship with parents. Because after all, we are on the same boat, right? The 3 pillars: schools, teachers, coordinators, students, and parents. We are all on the same boat. And the more we support one another, the more we look at each other with a teacher view, with a teacher attitude, the more we can contribute to finding effective answers, the more we can help our students have better results. And we at Oxford University Press, we have all the solutions that we have, they aim at catering for these 3 pillars, both providing teachers with the necessary resources, providing the school with the necessary resources, helping the school communicate with parents, and most importantly, providing students with the best education possible. If you'd like to know more about our solutions, And if you'd like to get in contact with me to discuss this topic further or to get my references, this is my contact, jhony.balisa@oup.com. I hope you have found this presentation useful. Thank you very much for all the interaction you have, all the comments you have sent in the chat. It was lovely to spend this afternoon today with you. And I would like to thank both SBS and Oxford University Press for having trusted me with this opportunity. And that's it. Thank you very much, and see you next time.